Phil Kessel won 3 Stanley Cups, scored over 400 goals, and somehow became a legend for loving hot dogs almost as much as scoring. Hockey's Iron Man, cult hero, and proof that greatness doesn't always look the way you expect. What if I told you one of the most gifted goal scorers of his generation was a 3-time Stanley Cup champion who supposedly lived on hot dogs? That an unbreakable Iron Man was called lazy and uncoachable by the media, and that one of the most misunderstood athletes in professional sports became a legend by simply ignoring the noise? Well, this is the story of Phil Kessel and how he did it all his way. From the moment he first laced up skates, Phil Joseph Kessel was a phenom. Growing up in Madison, Wisconsin, Kessel didn't just play youth hockey, he completely dominated it. He was a star product of the USA Hockey National Team Development Program, a system designed to mold the country's most elite young players, and elite doesn't even begin to cover it. He absolutely shattered scoring records for both the under-17 and under-18 teams, armed with a blistering shot and a deceptive speed that just left defenders guessing. His rise didn't slow down at the University of Minnesota, where, as a freshman, he casually put up 51 points and was named the conference's Rookie of the Year. So it was no surprise when the Boston Bruins snatched him up with the 5th overall pick in the 2006 NHL entry draft. Phil the Thrill, as he was perfectly nicknamed, seemed destined for NHL stardom. But just a few months into his pro career, that dream took a terrifying turn. In December 2006, at only 19 years old, Kessel was diagnosed with testicular cancer. Suddenly, the pressure of being a top prospect vanished, replaced by the terrifying uncertainty of a life-threatening illness. He had surgery on December 11th, and the hockey world held its breath. They didn't have to wait long. In a show of pure resilience that would define his entire career, Kessel missed only 11 games. He was back on the ice by early January, a recovery so fast it seemed almost unbelievable. For his incredible perseverance, he was awarded the Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy that season. He had stared down a challenge far greater than any hockey game and comeback, not just to play, but to excel. The experience, he'd later reflect, taught him just how fast life can change. It was a lesson in perspective that would prepare him for the very different kinds of battles waiting for him. Back in Boston, Kessel quickly proved that he was the real deal, notching a 36-goal season in 2008-09 to lead the team and cement his status as an offensive force. He was a key part of a young rising Bruins team, but behind the scenes a different story was taking shape. Whispers about his defensive game and his overall fit with the team started to circulate. And just like that, in a blockbuster trade that would change the fate of 2 franchises, the Bruins sent Kessel to the Toronto Maple Leafs in September of 2009. For Toronto, a team practically starving for a true superstar, this was a massive gamble. They gave up a haul of high draft picks and signed Kessel to a big 5-year, $27 million contract. Phil Kessel was now the face of one of the most demanding hockey markets on the planet. He was supposed to be the savior. Instead, he became the scapegoat. Playing in Toronto is a different beast. The media spotlight is constant, a 24/7 pressure cooker that can either forge a legend or completely melt a player's resolve. For 6 seasons, Kessel was, without a doubt, the offensive engine of the Maple Leafs. He led the team in goals 5 times, and had 4 seasons with 30 or more goals, and was consistently among the league's top scorers. In 2013, he was the main reason the team finally ended a painful 7-year playoff drought. Statistically, he was delivering everything he was brought in to do, but the team around him never quite measured up. And in a market desperate for a winner, somebody had to take the blame. That target was usually the quiet, seemingly distant superstar who didn't act like a traditional hockey leader. He was branded as lazy, uncoachable, and disinterested. His naturally shy, introverted personality was mistaken for apathy. He almost never gave the juicy, revealing interviews the media wanted, which only made them criticize him more. The whole narrative hit its most ridiculous point in 2015. Just after Kessel was traded, a Toronto columnist wrote an article claiming the star winger had a daily routine of visiting a specific hot dog stand. The story was a cheap shot at his physical conditioning, and it stuck. The truth was questionable at best, with many pointing out the vendor wasn't anywhere near where Kessel lived. But the damage was done. The image of Phil Kessel, the hot dog guy, was born. Kessel almost never fired back, but in a rare moment in March 2015, he finally spoke up. Not for himself, but for his captain, Dion Phaneuf, who was getting similar treatment. He called the media's behavior embarrassing and disgusting. It was a glimpse of the frustration that had been boiling for years. The relationship was broken. His time in the fishbowl was over. On July 1st, 2015, Phil Kessel was traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins. The change was like night and day. In Toronto, he was supposed to be the hero. In Pittsburgh, he just needed to be a piece of the puzzle. A very, very important piece. Playing alongside generational talents like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, Kessel was finally free from the crushing pressure of being the guy. He could just be a goal scorer. And that's exactly what he did. His first season in Pittsburgh was a massive success. He found incredible chemistry on a new line with Carl Hagelin and Nick Bonino, which was quickly nicknamed the HBK line. They became the Penguins' most electrifying weapon during the 2016 Stanley Cup playoffs. Kessel led the team in playoff scoring with 10 goals and 22 points as the Penguins beat the San Jose Sharks to win the Stanley Cup. Phil Kessel, the player they said couldn't win, was a champion. And the next year, he did it again. Kessel was a force, putting up 23 points in 25 playoff games as the Penguins won back-to-back titles, this time against the Nashville Predators. He was now a two-time Stanley Cup champion. The narrative from his Toronto days had completely fallen apart, and Kessel, in his own quiet way, decided to have the last laugh. During his day with the Stanley Cup that summer, he posted a picture to social media. There he was, sitting on a golf course, with the iconic trophy filled to the brim with hot dogs. The caption? "Hot dogs taste better out of the cup." It was a masterful, hilarious, and silent mic drop to all his critics. He took the ridiculous story meant to mock him and turned it into his symbol of ultimate victory. While the championship silenced the people who said he couldn't win, another, even more mind-boggling achievement was happening in the background, and that flew directly in the face of that lazy label. On November 3rd, 2009, during his first season in Toronto, Phil Kessel played a hockey game. Then he played the next one, and the one after that. For over a decade, through trades, nagging injuries, and the sheer brutality of pro hockey, Phil Kessel did not miss a single regular season game. The streak went on through his entire time in Toronto, all his years in Pittsburgh, and his tenure with the Arizona Coyotes. Finally, on October 25, 2022, as a member of the Vegas Golden Knights, he played in his 990th consecutive game, passing Keith Yandle for the all-time NHL Ironman record. In perfect Phil fashion, he also scored his 400th career goal that night. A few weeks later, on November 17th, he became the first player in league history to skate in 1,000 straight games. The streak finally ended at an unbelievable 1,064 consecutive regular season games played. For nearly 13 years, through more than 22,000 shifts, Phil Kessel showed up. It's a record of durability that's almost impossible to comprehend in a sport this punishing. Quiet kid from Madison, the player mocked for his diet and supposed lack of commitment, had just become the most durable player the game had ever seen. Kessel's career had one more championship chapter left. In the 2022-23 season, he played all 82 regular season games for the Vegas Golden Knights, keeping that Ironman streak going. But when the playoffs started, his role on the ice got smaller. After the first round, he became a healthy scratch as the team went with a different lineup. Even so, Kessel remained a huge part of the team's chemistry. His teammates praised him as a positive force and a beloved character in the locker room, keeping everyone loose during their deep playoff run. And when the Golden Knights defeated the Florida Panthers to win their first ever Stanley Cup, Phil Kessel was on the ice in full gear for the celebration, lifting the trophy for a third time. As he celebrated, a reporter from a Toronto outlet approached him on the ice. Kessel, holding his daughter with a huge smile, delivered one last perfect message. "Takes me back to my Toronto days," he said. "You guys said I couldn't win, and now I'm a three-time champ. Remember that." That would be his final act on the NHL stage. Kessel hasn't signed with the team since, leaving behind a career that simply defies any easy explanation. So, who was Phil Kessel? He's a walking paradox. The guy with the unconventional diet who became the NHL's all-time Ironman. The shy, introverted player who became a beloved cult hero. The superstar labeled a loser in one city became a three-time Stanley Cup champion everywhere else. He never changed to fit someone else's mold. He just played hockey, and he played it exceptionally well. He racked up 413 goals and 992 career points. He won a Masterton Trophy for overcoming cancer, 2 Olympic medals, and 3 Stanley Cups. He proved that what matters isn't what the headlines say, but what you do when your skates hit the ice. He ignored the noise, ate what he wanted, and built a legendary career entirely his way. Is Phil Kessel a future Hall of Famer? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy stories about sports' most interesting characters, make sure to subscribe. Hey hockey fans, you can also follow my blog at https://tedtalkshockey.com, and remember to keep your stick on the ice.